Welcome back to the AI Operators Podcast. Great to have you joining us. My name's Dave. We had a great live show this week, so stick around because we break down terms like experts in the loop. You might not have heard that. I hadn't either, but I went to a meetup and learned all about it, so I break that down for the guys today. We look at what Marno's doing, where he's got these crazy pixel agents that are running around doing tasks, really helping him focus and make sure he's doing the first things first. And I tell an amazing story around how I was able to recover a corrupted file, a file that we thought was gone forever, but I was using AI tools was able to recover it for my client in less than an hour. So if you want to hear how we're doing all these things, stick around and watch the replay of the live show. And maybe we'll see you live next week with your Q&A in the chat.
Hello.
Busted. Richard. Busted.
Quick sip.
Sneaking a quick sip before we start.
How dare you have a drink on a podcast?
Very rude of me. Sorry.
So long as it's alcohol and not just water.
No.
That's all that matters.
Actually,
Is it full strength Coke, that one?
It's a Coke Zero, and it is my most outrageous drink because I don't really drink alcohol or coffee or tea.
Good
It's
man.
pretty outrageous.
I'm on coffee
Yeah.
number 2 for the day, so I'll drink
Oh,
yours
wow.
for you. That's midday here, Marno. It's not like you where it's like 9 a.m. So 2 coffees at this time of day is not horrendous.
I just
Okay.
realised that text I sent you this morning, Mano, was probably at 3 a.m. your time.
That's not a problem. That's normally I try to wake up earlier, but I went to bed a bit late last night. We got the sauna sessions on Tuesdays, which resulted in me not getting home till about 10 o'clock because we were trying to do a smoker, like a last minute, hey boys, everyone bring a piece of meat. So we had like some fish that was just caught. We had some beautiful chicken wings, and then we spent about an hour getting the smoker ready before we go into the sauna. So the whole thing just went till 10 p.m. Just eating sauna, cold plunge, eating again. Would not recommend, but I'm glad I experienced it.
You don't just
Yeah,
take the
so
meat
probably
into the
was
sauna
good.
with you and just steam it in the sauna?
You probably could, but it was too hot. Like in UI, yeah, it's too hot.
Why not recommend? That sounds great.
It's great, and the atmosphere is nice until you get into the sauna and your body is allocating all its energy to digesting the food, and you're sitting there and you're like, my head is getting a massive rush. It's all getting spinny. It's 110 degrees. I can't see where I'm going. Like your body starts fighting against you because it's allocating the energy to your stomach, not to you surviving this heat.
Wow. Sounds
Yeah.
like a sweat lodge.
Your favorite place? No. That was a
Crazy.
good time. I'm glad I did it. Like, I'm probably next time. We normally eat at the end of the sauna sessions. Like, we do free sauna sessions, and then at the end we eat. But there was so much food, we just had to stagger it throughout the night.
You just need to sleep faster. As we
Good sleep. I had a brilliant sleep. So let's check the sleep.
Mano, just remind us quickly as we're talking about weird cultural experiences.
Mhm.
Where's your background from? Where did you learn to do sauna and eat smoked meat?
Oh, learned that in Australia, but my background, I'm from South Africa, but I moved here when I was 10. This is just the health kick that I've been on for the past 3 years and hopefully for the future. Very big on longevity and endurance. So anything that can help me perform a bit better or feel better throughout the day. And your cold plunges and saunas have been extraordinary in that.
Wow.
I eat a lot of meat and I surf, so I suppose that's the same thing.
Yeah.
What kind of smoker?
Oh, it was literally just like a standard, like little Weber. It had 2 tiers. So at the bottom we had,
I like a bullet smoker.
yeah, there we go. You onto it. That was good. It was fun.
I was hoping where I could lean into AI and IoT with connected grills and some of the Pellet grills with the connected apps and stuff. No,
Nothing that
old
fancy.
charcoal. My first ever smoker was a little bullet smoker. It was like a $45 one from BCF that my wife bought me because I said I'd like to get into smoking. You know, as you hit 40 as a man, you either get into smoking meats, trains, or like World War history stuff. And I chose smoking meats. And it was like, oh, we don't want to overinvest in this smoking thing. Just get a cheap one. It was so cheap, it was almost impossible to use. It leaked smoke, wouldn't hold its heat. It was a nightmare. We got this tiny little mini, like 1 kilo piece of brisket, but we managed to cook it enough where we're like, this is pretty good. We should spend some more money on this. So
Nice.
Let me ask the $1 million question or the $1 billion. How can AI help us cook better meat?
Well, on the connected grills thing, I don't know about necessarily AI. I mean, it is good for recipes. We've all gone ChatGPT and said, I've got this in the fridge. What do I make with it? And it's come through with the goods, right? I'm not the only one. Yeah.
Probably
no, definitely not.
similar concept, like Richard. Just if you've never done it before, how do I do it? What do I need? That kind of stuff. Just get you kicked off. But yeah, where Dave's at now, or Marno even, I don't know how like AI could come into it to help them.
For me, it would be research. Like, so my grill that I've got like this $500 Acorn grill from Bunnings because it was what I needed. It was a good price point. Been great. I've had it for like 5 or 6 years now, but it is a steel built one, and that's why it was so cheap. And it's starting to rust. And so I think to the future, and I'm looking at the pellet grills because they are connected. They've got apps. They're easier to fire up. You just turn them on. Like I've done the charcoal thing. I've done the sleepless nights up and down, adjusting my vents to do all that sort of heavy lifting. I've had that adventure. Now I'm getting older. I just want to smoke meat quickly and easily and tastefully. And so I'd be looking at pellet grills. And so you go, okay, I will get AI to research across different pellet grills in different price ranges and like what are they as far as, emptying the hopper and maintenance and any potential issues. So for me, it becomes a research project.
That's true.
Necessarily using the thing itself because I'd probably rather go and watch Aaron Franklin on YouTube and trust his advice on how to cook a brisket more than Claude Codes.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as finding which grill to buy, that's what I would use AI.
Have you seen the bloke that used AI? This is probably last year now. When voice agents started getting a bit more traction, he built a voice agent with some custom prompting, and it would call every single Rolex dealer to see where it can buy the best priced Rolex. And it called, I think, like 100 or 200 shops, and then found the best ones and collated them into a list. And then he went and bought the cheapest Rolex. But I'm like, you could use that to just arbitrage it and then see, okay, cool, where can I get the best grill, and then resell it on like a grill Gumtree type of setup.
Yeah.
I saw on LinkedIn today, someone actually published a Guinness index where they set up voice robots to ring 700 pubs to get the price of a pint of Guinness. And apparently that used to be a thing, that there used to be a published Guinness, like a pint index in Ireland. And this guy resurrected it by getting a robot to automatically call all the pubs and find pints anywhere from like, €3 up to 10 and list it out there. So, and then you get people go, I don't think that would be a contravention of the GDPR or the EU rules for declaring that you're an AI robot to do that. And I'm like, all this red tape always gets in the way, right?
I always have to think about, because what we're doing on AI, in my opinion, is just grabbing, when we grab mass data off public data, we're just grabbing the sum net average of everyone's opinion, collating that and then deciding. So, there can be corrupted data in there. And I always think about, the early crashes of the share prices in the old days when they ran those sun systems that automatically told people when to buy and sell. I'm just wondering how that affects our cooking, because tastes are different, power costs are different. It'll be very interesting, and it'll be more nuanced.
I heard a term this week, so we should go around and talk about what we've learned this week, specifically on the topic of AI, not just cold plungers and grilling meats. But I went to a Claude Code meetup on Monday night. One of the speakers there, Mark Monfort, who's been involved in decentralized finance and other bits and pieces, he gave a little talk around what he's been building with tools like Claude Code, and he talked about this term expert in the loop versus human in the loop. So human in the loop, most people have heard of. If you are joining us for the first time, you haven't heard that. That's a concept that you give the AI agent or the chat prompt permission to go do a bunch of stuff, but when it gets to critical points, it comes back and brings a human into the decision-making loop in order to confirm whether you go forward or not. But he talked about it being an expert in the loop, because having a level of domain expertise or subject knowledge will affect the questions you ask the agents, what you ask them to do, how you ask them to operate, and then bringing your expertise into that loop gives you much better results. And so, Richard, you're talking about your personal taste and what you like to cook with and all that kind of stuff. That's your personal expertise. If someone like Nigella Lawson goes and talks to Claude about recipes, it's going to be a very different conversation than someone like me or Hessen Blumenthal or whoever, right?
I have one of those phone-connected sous vides. You guys familiar with the sous vide?
Yeah, the little water boily thing, and you put the shrink-wrapped meat in it.
No, if you're going in the keto protein way, sous vides are must-have. So most restaurants use them on a large scale, and they pre-cook the meat, vacuum sealed in a plastic bag before it's, braised or caramelized, right? And so it almost gets the meat to the perfect temperature. And once it's at the right temperature, you may leave it there for half an hour or 20 hours, depending on your choice. And then you just drop it on the grill and sear it either side and the steak's done. And that's how restaurants get you a perfectly cooked steak to your table a lot quicker than when we're at home and we toss it on. So sous vide, superheated water. And you can buy these great ones that just sit on the edge of a pot.
Yeah, we've got one of those from
A little
Aldi, I
spinning
think.
van. Yeah, the sous vide. But they're connected to your phone. So you could be at work and you could start it up cooking before you get home, so it's at the right temperature. And so I was considering an agent approach to using that, along with my electronically measured barbecue, could be a very accurately cooked piece of meat.
Oh,
I'm sure people are lining up their OpenClaws and getting them doing all that kind of connected
Exactly.
stuff, right? But anyway, I've had a few wins this week that I'm keen to talk about. Where's everyone else's week's been in the AI sphere? Gone to any interesting events? Done any interesting things? Had any good wins?
Yeah, I've had a fair few. So without going into like hectic detail, basically, I've had a couple of really good fresh client chats, really good communications with people, even to the point where like they may not necessarily go anywhere, but just having the conversations. And I think that is something that you're going to see more and more of, because at the beginning it was always like almost taboo, oh yeah, I do that AI thing. And people are like, oh yeah, I don't really get around that too much. But yeah, now like I literally was speaking to business owners over the weekend. I think I told you guys I went on this huge walk. It was for men's mental health, and it was the longest walk I've ever done.
How far, man?
It's 25 Ks, so I know it doesn't sound like a lot.
No, that's a big walk. That's like 5-6 hours.
That's a big walk.
Yeah. Okay, good. But yeah, it was pretty intense, and but just during it, just being able to mingle amongst these other gentlemen, and talk about stuff and like, what do you do? And like, when it comes to that time where I had to explain it, I'm not sure how you guys answer that question now, but it's still really hard. But I went down the path trying to explain it, and the guys were like, whoa, that's really interesting. We need to get you in and talk to our team about this. And yeah, I had that chat like a good few times, and I don't know if anything's going to come out of it. I'm probably too busy to take anything on right now anyway, but just having the conversations was my biggest win.
That's a great one.
My experience with some of those chats is they're like, yeah, they're really keen when they're face to face with you, and then as soon as you try to follow them up, you just get crickets because it's not actually a big enough priority for them, and but they are interested. It's not that they're not interested; they weren't spinning you a line, but when they get back to the coalface, it's like, yeah, we'll do that AI thing later.
Yeah.
Marno, what about you, mate?
I feel like I've had a similar response, but more the opposite when it's in town. Anyone that's international or national, if I don't get to see them face to face, then that's like, hey, this sounds awesome. I'll get back to you. And a bloke just responded, maybe a week ago, and it's been like 5-6 months since I last spoke to him. It's not a priority because he doesn't see the immediate impact. No. With like businesses that are in Kalgoorlie, I'll email them maybe twice, and then I'll go to the office, just catch up. It's just be in their face, see how it's going, provide value there. Then like, oh wait, there's an out. I don't have to be in this turmoil of constantly just chasing my tail. It's been a month now. Let's get this done. And because I'm physically there, I can just show up, do a little changes, or show them Microsoft shortcuts to cut about 2 hours off their day. Like, it's so much easier when I'm getting to go see them.
That's cool.
But yeah, my tool, like the last week, has been awesome. Got too many opportunities coming up, so now it's deciding what do I say no to. I've really built out my anti-gravity bot, and now I've got Matt's knowledge core in there as well. So I've essentially built this personal assistant, this PA for me, that checks up every morning. These are the emails that you've missed overnight. These are the calendar events that you have to be aware of. These are cold leads that you haven't followed up with. And then also, what are my action plans for today in order for me to achieve my go-to-market strategy? In order for me to achieve my quarterly financial goal, I need to follow this 12-week step. So keeping me accountable on that. And then at nighttime, again, checking in. Did I do the things that it asked me to do? And if not, what are we going to do tomorrow to adjust the plan? So that's been tremendous. And it's so cheap. Like, I had one day, I ran it the whole day. I did 72 tasks that I handed for it to do. and it cost me $1.50 for the whole day.
That's pretty good.
Unreal. Yeah.
Mate, that sounds like a wife without the nagging.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty blunt, because last night I was talking to it before going to bed in my review, saying that I'm hoping to spend time today doing my 5 and 25-year plan. And then it just bluntly said, no, that seems like procrastination. What you should be doing is focusing on the plan that you've already made that's focused for the next 12 weeks. So don't even worry about that. You're just trying to find movement, like you're confusing movement with progress. So it's really picking up on me as it's learning more and more about me and how I operate.
That is actually all three of those are great stories. I think for me, and David and I have been speaking about this offline a couple of times as well, and I know you and I, Marno, are going to have a chat. I remember as a person in go-to-market and sales, no matter what the new technology was, people get overwhelmed. Then they hear what it might do and they go, that's exciting. But like the ostrich, and by the way, of all the ostriches that were ever surveyed, none of them ever dug a hole and stuck their head in the sand. That's a misnomer. But anyway, a lot of them take that metaphor really and they put it down. And I remember I was trying to reach the head of an automotive company in Victoria when I was at IBM. And the same thing happened. He was overwhelmed by the concept of what I was talking about. I think I was at IBM at the time. We were talking about image processing, which is the early start for AI and recognizing things and scanning pages and processing things quickly. And there used to be this great cartoon that floated around in marketing and sales circles, and it had a picture of General Custer with the hordes of Indians coming over the hill. Of course, we know the story that General Custer died and didn't survive because he was a really bad military strategist. And there's a tent there, and then one of his sergeants is standing there with the hordes of Indians coming over the hill going, there's a salesman at the door. I think you should talk to him. And General Custer says, no, look at all this crap I've got. Why would I talk to a salesman now? Because when you look to the right of the cartoon, there's a salesman there with a machine gun. And that's what I see AI in metaphoric cartoon terms recently. So much so, I was going to get AI to recreate that cartoon for me because I couldn't find a copy, and start sending that with a machine gun with AI written on. Anyone who takes that idea, well done, go for it. And I actually did this with that particular person and sent them a note. And no one did. We were beyond faxes in those days, but I wrote, this is you, this is me, that's your competition. We need to talk. It's okay, right? And sending that to a CEO of a large company as a young salesperson isn't always but it got me the meeting. We eventually toured the world together on one of those IBM discovery trips. And I think that's where we're at, right? People really want, right, what you guys have got, right? I won't say what I've got. I'm not the technical nerd here, but people really want what you got. Marno, I want you to send me that. As a man with ADHD, I really want that agent that you just wrote. So please email it to me. And I just think that's the challenge. I'm reaching out to a lot of people at very senior levels and talking to them, and they're going, yeah, that's what I want. I spoke to a friend of mine who's a very successful marketing executive, and she's covering off the AI and cloud and data center space for a very large company in Australia that is representative of a large vendor. And she told me that she went and did one of those females in tech chats, kind of like what you guys do all the time. And they came out with the go-to-market message has to be more specific around what we do. So people go, it's not that scary. And of all the things they worked through, this came up as number one, and no one adopted it because everyone was too scared.
I don't know what stories you've been hearing, but I've never been to a female in tech conference, Richard.
No, that's a pretty good initiative.
Not the right demographic.
I'll get into any gender politics today.
Is it called She Codes? Was that the organization? I know they're quite large.
I don't know. And I won't out her in terms of, male-female profiling. So a very successful executive, one I respect very much and could very well be listening right now. But I got it, right? And the reason it was a female in tech thing was she just went there and I wasn't. So it's nothing to do with male or female. It's everything to do with everyone knows what the problem is, but no one's doing it.
Yeah, a friend of mine published a report from a HR firm and was saying like people, they all know they should be doing it, but no people are doing it, and the people that are doing it are not seeing and recognizing value from it because they're just doing random things with it. They're not understanding the value, whether that's, creative outputs, research outputs, time-saving outputs, whatever it is, people are not knowing how to use it. And so productivity is actually going down as people are using AI for the wrong things. Onboarding times are going up because now people are trying to work out what is even
What do
my
I
job
do
now?
now?
I don't even know.
And everyone thinks it's an LLM or something like that. I mean, I've just, as the end of my little anecdote, and I'll shut up, is I got introduced to Claude by you guys, of course, after playing it. And everyone thinks it's all about LLMs or these command line, type AI support. And David knows, and I've written it a few times. I wrote it once and it was stolen on a laptop, but writing my definitive book of how you screw up selling, which is kind of a laugh, I think, making sure I tell everyone all the mistakes I made rather than how successful I am. And I think that's a more valuable book. And so I'm using it as my sub-editor and my, punctuation and phrasing and formatting, right? Because when you're writing creatively, formatting's a real pain in the butt because you're trying to think, should that go there? Should go there? And I was using Claude and I'm up to 20 chapters already. Whereas I think the first chapter took me about 2 years. And then over the weekend, I get another 17 chapters out. It's quite amazing. But life isn't about LLM because everyone's using them. So you're not ahead of anyone. You're just keeping up.
Well, I mean, that comes back to what you were saying around the sum net average is what everyone gets, unless they're putting their own expertise into it, unless you're putting your own knowledge and experiences in. There is becoming a growing pushback against all the AI slop, and I think creatively humans are going to re-engage in creative pursuits somewhat, take that space back because people don't want to see it. That's funny, like on the Instagram reels and stuff, you used to see the people getting randomly savaged by animals, like not terminally, but you just see like goats headbutting people and stuff, and you think that's hilarious. But now it's like over the top, and you're like, I don't is that AI? I don't care. Like there's no one actually got hurt, so I'm not interested in it. Like it I think that sounds really bad when you say it like that, but that concept of like the whole lack of reality and not knowing you can trust stuff just takes out like the authenticity.
That's
of it.
very true. That's very true. I remember, I don't know if I've said this before, but my ex-wife and I were at her child was at a nearby private school, and half of the mums there had become influencers, really big influencers, right? And it was kind of hilarious, right? And my ex-wife at the time was doing charity work for really important charity, and asked a couple of these influencers, some of them are on TV and you'd know them, I won't use their name, could you please mention this charity in your Instagram or your podcast or whatever you're doing? Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, give me $40,000. And we went, what? But what I find funny is that Wimbledon girl that appeared, and I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but someone created a fake female, rather gorgeous, I might add, blonde, perfect mini skirt, perfectly positioned, and they placed her at scenes in Wimbledon and said, she kept saying, I'm enjoying. I think she got like 40 million followers and she wasn't a real person.
Wow, yeah.
Right? And was saying all the right things and had probably, because of the sum net average of people who were interviewed of what sort of a girl would you like to see at Wimbledon, there it is, right? Instantly created using our data and stats. And as you said, David, and as you guys are alluding to, now all of a sudden the value of someone who really does that goes through the floor. And I'm expecting all those influences to disappear because no one will know if it's AI or real, and no one will care.
I've got an opinion.
Please.
I'm not going to talk about mini skirts, but with the idea of the influences going away, I think it's the exact same landscape and framework that a lot of these other people that we learn from in the AI, automation, coding-ish space, where it's the reshuffling of the wealth. So the reshuffling of the market, the reshuffling of the monopoly. That's probably the best way to put it. So you've got all these big influencers that, might start to get less traffic or be swallowed by the slop influencers. But it's also gonna, like what Dave said, it's gonna cause people to seek out the real ones.
That's why we're here. That's why this is a live show. It's real and authentic. We can't fake the level of awesome authenticity we have here.
And to bring all of this back to Smoke Meats.
I think, you know what? I think, Matt, that's what I was saying. Matt, I think you're 100% right. Remember having a web page was all and all about quality, and I want to deal with them because I got a web page and I can touch them and reach out to them. We're so far past that now, aren't we? And AI is taking us into that very dynamic space. So I think it's going to be all about content and all about reality. And you guys are the cornerstone of that. You're creating the real content and the real reality. And we want to hear more about it.
As long as we don't go back to that whole writer strike era where everything's reality TV. Like, I actually like scripted storytelling. Can we have some of that,
Well,
please?
storytelling,
But with real
you're
actors?
right, Dave. It's just the color around it, right? It's just the color around it.
Yeah. But shows like this, and I'm sure we'll hit our groove. And one day, I was talking to the boys the other day just around, that whole hard work versus luck, and, which comes into which, and things like the YouTube algorithm are one of those things where you've got to do the work and you've got to put the videos out there. But then there's also that luck where one video, for whatever reason, you just get the title right, it attracts a few clicks, you get the extra views, and all of a sudden you'll have like videos with 100 views, 100 views, 100 views, 100 views, 100 views, 10,000
Yep.
views. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's the same kind of content you've been doing the whole time, but you just get that little stroke of luck where one just takes off and everything changes.
I did a video during COVID just for fun because I was practicing video to market through LinkedIn. And it was about being ghosted, which is probably the most common thing that executives and everyone finds nowadays. And so I just did this thing on ghosting, which was, I didn't even plan it. I just put the camera up and my phone, hung it on the wall and spoke to it and said, well, don't feel bad. We all get ghosted. 7,000 views in less than an hour.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It just broke the bank. And I went, how'd that happen?
What was that posting that on too? Is that where you had like a big following already too?
Look, it was part of me fragmentally putting together my go-to-market strategy around how I screwed up selling in my book and all of that. And I set up a video thing and I think the content was okay, but I think people love the content because I was including them. It's not just you, it's me as well. And everyone loves that. That's the vulnerability we're together. And I think the name, right? What about ghosting? Or I forget what I called it. It was all about ghosting.
Yeah.
And it just click, click, click. And away it went very, very well.
And that was on your your TikTok account?
It was on my LinkedIn account. And if you look up on LinkedIn, and there's two very embarrassing videos there, but I'm vulnerable. Go and have a look at them. I'm badly done about I've screwed up selling. But the book's coming out soon, available at all good distributors, including Amazon, in a little short while.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I'm curious, was that your first video that you posted to LinkedIn? Because I've seen that as quite a big, good tick for the algorithm. When it's your first video posted or first one in a very long time, then it's almost kinder to you, and then it'll promote that more.
Yes, you're exactly right. And it was just at the start of COVID when we were all locked in. And so I had three key market things. People were sick of being locked in and they wanted to see or talk or listen to someone. Number one, it was probably the first video I ever posted. And number two, I'm a pretty funny guy. So I think it went well.
Beautiful.
I think that's why they're saying Tiger King went so well, right? Because it was at the start of the lockdown.
Yes.
Everyone was like, that was a great meme where like someone was talking to Trump because he was still the president. This was pre-Biden at the start of COVID. And someone's like, the people are getting restless. And he's like, release that tiger thing.
That is so true.
Yeah, sometimes, and again, it's just that perfect storm of events. You didn't necessarily plan that, but you saw something, and it is that whole mix of taking advantage of opportunities, doing things, not just waiting for things, but also that just spark of the universe, just right time, right place that happens, which we can't control all those external factors that govern success, but we can just keep doing the
and look, I was asked to go and do some talks in London a number of years ago. And it was for British Telecom and Cisco, I don't mind saying that. And they said, Richard, would you come over? And it's the same story. There was the new technology of the internet and online business flow models and how it was going to help people. And no one knew as back in 97. So they said, could you come over and do some talks? We think that might spawn some more conversation. By the way, guys, we are going to do a online talk and then a face-to-face one in the next few months. David and I are just planning that. And so I said, okay, and I'm sitting in front of the second in charge of BT's office that I was shuffled in there. I bought a 3-piece pinstripe suit in London on the way because I didn't know what to wear. Right? and I'm a bit keen on jackets, as you know. And so I turn up and this guy, funny enough, he was American, but running most of British Telecom. He swore at me and said, why am I talking to an Australian about solving this problem? I said, I don't know. Anyway, he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, basically people don't get the concept. They think it's here, or here. And your sales team, he goes, okay, I'll let you loose on them for a few months and we'll see how it goes. It went so well that we increased sales, wait for it, by £600 million in the first 6 months.
Beautiful.
So I ran a program across, I think it was 2,000 sales reps in the first 6 months. And I dumbed it down like we do here.
Not that our audience are dumb. No, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of people misunderstand, not knowing what's going on. So I went to this Claude Code meetup on Monday night, and it was focused on more of an engineering audience. Like it was a coders meetup. That was the intention. They're doing lots of different things, and they're the community ambassadors, and Dom, friend of the channel, was organizing this one, and it was intended to be more technical audience. But one of the speakers got up there and asked how many like engineers were in the room, and not even a quarter of the audience put their hands up. Now, I don't think that was a shy. I think it's like only a quarter of them consider themselves actually developers, engineers coming from a coding background. More of them might be coding and using things like the tools to do it, but they don't identify as engineers. And so some really interesting demos, so some interesting ways people are using things, and some tools that can help people. So that was good. But there were a few times where, and you know, they were showing kind of like the OpenClaw type things, kind of what you're talking about, Marno, how I've got this agent and it goes and gets all this data and gives me a briefing and does this and does that. And I'm thinking in there, this whole audience, most of these people, they want that kind of thing. They hear these stories, but where do they even get started? How do these technologies become approachable for them? We've talked about OpenClaw on this channel, and Matt, you've gone deep in trying to lock down and secure OpenClaw and started experimenting with it. I'm keen to know if you've had any successful wins or if it's actually changed your life.
I did it before Jensen did it.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, when NemoClaw came out, I was like, wait a second. This is he been reading my notes? No, I can't be the only person. It was, I just wanted to have safe defaults. You know, like the whole idea of installing it and running it and how good and autonomous it is, sure. But then, you know, obviously that introduces security concerns. So for those that don't want to read the chapters and chapters of security notes that do exist out there from the official team, I wanted to just make a secure default, you know, so like you install it and the whole thing's locked down. And as you learn more and want to do stuff with it, you actually upgrade it by.
So you've installed it. Are you running it? Are you getting value from your OpenClaw? Is it doing meaningful things for you?
Yeah. I actually, it's kind of embarrassing that I've spent more time on infrastructure and benchmarking and testing and, you know, just drilling it than I have actually to build my own sort of results sequence. But I'm doing something very similar to Marno right now, where I have my daily briefing, and Richard, it's the ADHD sort of focusing where I've specifically said it. I'm like, I only need to get told one thing a day. You know, if you can tell me one thing and it's the thing I have to focus on, tell me when to do it in my calendar. So yeah, it basically, it checks my knowledge core, checks my active linear issues. It looks at my calendar, looks at my recent stuff that we've done together, and is like, right, you haven't finished this yet, do that, do it in this time block. And that's all I have it doing for me right now.
Yeah, we either have hyper focus or no focus.
Well, yeah, because I got the friggin' like blunt end of the stick. I've got the whole ADHD. So it's, you know, the autism side mixed in as well, which just makes it chaos.
My daughter and myself as well, mate. It is fun chaos.
Yeah. It's either infinite distraction or hyper focus.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you're a pretty technical guy, Matt, and you did the hard work and you made a secure version of OpenClaw and you're getting results. Marno, you lead more technical. You didn't do much for a while. You were like, I'm too busy. You didn't go OpenClaw, right? You built your own custom solution.
Yeah. So I did Claude Code and anti-gravity. So I started with just anti-gravity for some projects because I was hoping to automate the website development. And in that, there was one day where I had a Tuesday open, and I felt incredibly anxious that there was nothing in my calendar because it just felt like unusual. So I was like making sure I don't miss anything. Hey, how can we do this to have a look through all my emails, read every single keyword? Is there any reference to Tuesday to this date where I'll send an email, but I never sent an email or a calendar invite? It did the scan for me, took about 30 minutes to build up. And then from that basic email calendar checker, I've now expanded it into this. I did play with NemoClaw when it came out, just because I was curious to see what a secure version looked like. Didn't like it. Then I went to OpenClaw to see what's the difference. And I was like, this is all dumb. My Claude Code setup is significantly better and it's already customized and I have full control and I guess a better understanding of what it has access to and what it doesn't. So I'll just stay for Claude Code for now. And now with dispatch available in channels, it completely replaces the need for OpenClaw at all.
Yeah, but you're running your own custom program somehow. It's not just sitting in Claude Code and stuff, right? Like your thing that's checking, like what's your interface? Do you chat with it? You're using it through Discord, right?
So that's just through channels.
So and you said that $1.75 thing. So you've actually set up API tokens. You've built like a kind of a bespoke custom Marno's claw that is running.
Maybe
It's
I
not
wouldn't
actually.
say. I would like to say that, but at the same time, I don't think it's that at all. All it is I'm running Claude Code with a bunch of skills, and I've set up a channel so I can talk to it via Discord.
Where is
That's
it running? Is it on your computer?
Yeah, it's all local.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
is it using Claude Code like your Claude Code plan, or like?
Both. So I've got API tokens for certain tasks, and then I've got Claude Code for the actual computing. But when when I have to build a proposal plan, or I am further developing something out on my computer, then I'll use Claude Code. But for most of it, it's probably going to be API tokens.
Marno, can I ask everyone the question as the ignorant nerd here? Because of the tools we have available to us at AI, if we pick a different architecture as an orchestration platform, like OpenClaw or something like that, it wouldn't be too hard for us to migrate, would it?
No. So even like OpenClaw itself is an amalgamation of different things and wrappers. It's actually running off Pi agents, PI. So
PY? Isn't it PY? Python?
No, PI, pi.dev.
That's different than Pydantic agents?
Correct. That's just a Python framework. Yeah. So like Pi agents, it's not for everyone. It's super techy. It's super like developer. But if you want to build like Richard, like for yourself, if you want to like find an application layer where you can wrangle in agentic layers to it, something like Pi is exactly what you could use. Or you do what Dave and like what myself have done, where you take the OpenClaw public repo, so the actual source code of something like OpenClaw, and then you give that to your local agent, in the case of Claude Code, for example, or Codex CLI or whatever, and you say, let's just take the framework here, let's just take the foundational fundamentals and adapt it to this and just use this as a reference, learn from this, strip from what you want.
So when I was building my what I called anti-claw, where I was doing manual tasks, a bit like like running skills and stuff in anti-gravity, then
is Richard frozen to you guys?
Pointed it at OpenClaw.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. Are you frozen? At least that's a much better freeze frame than last time.
Yeah, he looks really excited to listen.
But I gave it the OpenClaw repo and said, learn from this. And that's where I started getting some of my memory structures and some of those sort of ideas from that are integrated in pretty much all the stuff I do with any LLM now. I've got this sort of memory structure that I use across all my projects, which is awesome. So I did that. But over the weekend, I did move from my Mac to a PC. So I'm running on a Windows-based install now because I had a PC that had better RAM and CPU stuff than my Mac Mini, and I was sick of hitting limits on my Mac. So replatforming all your AI stuff from a Mac-based thing to a Windows-based thing is a whole journey in itself, because Macs are a little bit more friendly because of their Unix-based nature versus Windows, where I actually had to put in like Window WSL, like a Linux wrapper in like Windows server. Like don't even know what WSL stands for, but I've basically had to install Linux as like a sub operating system integrated with my Windows, and it's been a massive journey. But and I put Docker on, so I wanted to play with NemoClaw as well. So for those that don't know, NVIDIA released NemoClaw, which is they've got this thing called OpenShell, which is just a security layer, and OpenClaw lives in that. And so when OpenClaw tries to do things, OpenShell says, are you sure you want to give it this access? So it's just kind of a safety firewall around your OpenClaw. But try to do that within a virtualized Docker environment on my PC. I was just hitting all these errors. I couldn't even get OpenClaw to boot up. And so I was like, okay, too hard. And I had Claude Code looking at the folder, and I had my Claude Code saying, trying to fix it all for me and rewrite config files. And I just could not, it was too much. I was like, you know what? I don't even know if this is a NemoClaw issue or an OpenClaw issue or a Docker issue. Just strip it back. So we ditched NemoClaw, went with straight OpenClaw. I still needed Claude Code to actually configure it and get it working. So this OpenClaw thing is not super simple. It's not a point and click install. It's a hassle. And then I finally got it installed, and I've got it on Telegram, and I've given it some tasks and said, just go away, build stuff. And then I don't hear from it for days. And I'm going to go, are you still working? It's like, yeah, I'm still working. I'm like, sure you are. So I don't really know what's happening with my OpenClaw. I'm trying to get it to pay for its own batteries. That's what I told it had to do. But for you, Richard, and this is what I said to the people at the Claude Code meetup, where they're seeing people using these things integrated into Slack and Discord and OpenClaws. And because I asked, like, who's tried to do OpenClaw in the whole room? Basically no one. just a few of the presenters are the ones doing it. Like in this room full of techie people, almost no one has actually tried setting up OpenClaw.
Which is
like,
so
you see
tool. It's such a great framework.
But you see all the hype online, and you think everyone's using OpenClaw. Like I had massive FOMO. That's why I'm like, I need to. I'm an AI operator, and I haven't even tried yet. I need to work this out. I need to have a foot in the game.
I think what you're saying. That's a message to everyone, our audience, and all our friends, and all our customers and clients. And it was very similar back again in the internet and the online days, even the computing days. Or what computer should I buy? Or what web page? What programming? Who should I get to do it? Don't ask yourself those questions. Be like Nike, just do it. And then once you get your hands dirty, the concept becomes real in your mind. Some of you know I did a lot of work for Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz. Of course, Mark started the first Netscape browser being Netscape. So, and I'm lucky to have those guys in my my contact list. And I went to I think it was the Ray Summit, which is the cloud Python whatever thing. And what I thought was amazing is they got everyone in the audience. They're all nerdy, smart people like you, not that smart, but they had us recompiling some Python code and just playing with it. And I remember looking at my business partner, Robbie Perrin, who I'd gone over with, and we're looking at each other going, what the hell are we doing? But you know what? Just that hour of recompiling and adjusting a code, because I haven't programmed since I was like 5, it just opened up my eyes to what was actually happening back then, what's possible. So my say is what the summary of what you guys are saying is just do it. Look up something, download it, play with it. But more importantly, if you're that scared, give us a call. We will walk you through it, no charge, and help you get started. And then if we got something for you, away we go.
The winning move is tools like Claude and Anthropic, they're onto this. And they know that Peter Steinberger, the guy that created OpenClaw, has been acquired by OpenAI. They know OpenAI is going to be building in this kind of Claw style functionality, this sort of personal assistant, 24/7 agent stuff. They know that OpenAI are going to be making a play on that because they bought Peter Steinberger. And so they're just jumping in straight away. And so one of the things I shared with them, without trying to share too much behind the scenes stuff here, but this is my Cowork.
My glasses on so I can read this.
And this is in my Cowork. I have my dawn rhythm that runs at 7:04 a.m. And apologies for the scroll thing. It's a bit awkward because I'm remote terminaled in my Mac where I've got this set up from my PC.
You're such a nerd. Come on, buddy.
But here's my instructions. We've talked about my Marvel people before, my DC people. You are Perry White, editor-in-chief of Valid Agenda Operations. Execute the dawn morning briefing. So go check all your memory files, then go fetch the calendar from N8N where I've set up the link. Then go query linear MCP for potential issues that are going on. Go scan the headlines for sovereign AI, agentic workflows. Go check for brand references for Valid Agenda. For David, not the US math professor version of me, but me, for syllogism. And so this is just a skill. This is just text that you can get the AI to write for you. And I've got this running on a schedule at 7:05 a.m. It'll use all your connectors and your MCPs and things that you sort of set up here in Claude Cowork. It's all point and click to set this sort of stuff up. And then you can see all the different runs for your different rhythms and things. So it's actually pretty crazy that you can do a lot of this sort of morning briefing, check all my details stuff without needing to, how do I close the screen share? Because now you can see all my Claude Code things. That doesn't matter. Crazy there. That's me building. All right, there we go. Did that stop it?
No,
not yet.
It reminds me of the CEO at a conference I went to who accidentally shared his account profile at the hotel, which did highlight several movies he'd watched the night before.
Oh,
right.
No, what did you see on that one? You saw that I'm doing something with 20 CRM.
Yeah, 20 is great. I'm surprised more people don't know about 20, like as far as just open source CRM stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, just the fact that you can run it, like I've got it up on my hosting at KVM and the sort of open data model. It reminds me very similar the way the data model works to Salesforce circa 2011. But in a free open source CRM, which is crazy.
There's so many like CRMs. I remember this vividly when I first started getting into it. Bolt.new was still like the leading one before Lovable came in and just like splashed it out of the water. and there was a bloke that was on one of the very first dev calls of Bolt.new, where they have like this weekly catch up. What did the community build? This guy built, I think it's called Panda CRM or something like that. It's just a basic CRM platform. He's making like 20K a month, and it's based. It could probably just be a 20 like repo copy, and then a new UI or pretty UI, and that's it. CRMs are so underrated for just a service, because a lot of people just they don't know what exists. And again, coming back to the scare thing, like they don't know what they can trust, because there's no one that facilitates this safe space for them to feel comfortable enough to ask the questions and see, okay, why is ClickUp.com better than Monday.com? Or why is like Panda CRM better than 20 CRM?
So is SaaS dead? Everyone's going to build their own software
No,
now,
definitely
Marno?
not. People are still using fax machines. So I'm sure that software will be fine for a long way to come.
And I think from my point of view, there's always the build versus buy conversation. And the thing about buying versus building is there's a product team ostensibly behind that. They're thinking about the feature upgrades, their features to it. You run your business. Unless your business is building CRMs, do you really want to be building a bespoke CRM? That's why something like 20 is great, because if you just want something basic that's good enough that you want to run on your own metal, then just use 20, or pay their hosting fees and buy their cloud version, right? There's so many CRMs, and so many of them are overbaked, so many of them over promise and under deliver, or they're too heavy, or they're too sometimes for a good reason. They're very opinionated on how you should do things and how you should manage your data. And some of the old school ones like HubSpot are very opinionated because they came out of email marketing, and so they're very heavy on some of that sort of stuff versus the others. And the free editions give you a lot of stuff, but there was a lot of overhead you don't need as well with some of these things. But that little sneak peek you saw there to what I'm building in Claude Code is, and I think I mentioned I'm building a little side hustle for website upgrades and flipping websites. And I'm trying to make it as automated as possible, so that I've got a N18 crawler that runs every night to look for businesses with old crappy websites, that it loads them as opportunities into my CRM. I can review them, and if I look at the website and go, yep, that's a possibility, I'll update the stage. That'll stick it in a build queue, where then I'll have an automated job pick up new, like check the CRM periodically, and then go, okay, I've got to build these preview sites. It'll go and pull down and use my local Claude Code to rebuild a new preview site, at which point then it will update the CRM. And the next step is then to integrate things like Twilio and SMS. It'll SMS the customer and say, hey, we noticed your website could do with a refresh. Here's our offer. Here's a link to see what we built for you. Would you like it, yes or no?
Amazing.
And just trying to automate that whole process from discovery to preview build to sale, and do it as hands-off as possible. Using just these tools.
Beautiful, David. I met with a very successful Australian entrepreneur late last week. I've had this conversation with David, and I was talking to them about this, and they have seen all the evolutions. They're a venture capitalist, a private equity. They're running a very large service provider for the power industry. And he paraphrased what he thought was going to happen, and I said the same thing. People are paying their cloud application providers 10, 20, 100,000, $1 million a month in very large ends. He envisages that people are going to go back because the data is the critical component, not the application, because now the application and the plugins and the handling, like you guys have created. So if you can imagine it, maybe you can build it. But there's a line where you can't build it because you don't have the architecture capability in the hands, but need someone like you guys. But you guys are a lot more effective than me paying maybe a large multinational software SaaS vendor. So that whole power, as Matt said, is going to shift, that cost retention. And he envisages that in some areas, they're going to say to the cloud application provider, we've been paying you $100,000 a month. Here's $500 a month, otherwise get lost. Because we've done now that's probably an extreme view, but he said, we've done the buy our own computers again, the whole bill shock with cloud. We all know our customers and clients have suffered that. Okay, I need, as you're saying, I need that data. I need to know when my clients, subscription fails. I need to know when they have faults. I need, there's ServiceNow in there and all that. So if I gather all that data and I build my own agentic agents, right, I don't have to pay for those extra modules to those big companies. And it's all about hosting my data, so my data is reliable and available, merging that in a sovereign AI, and merging that with my own sovereign data so that I have my unique competitive advantage or value propositions. Tell me to shut up, I'm waffling on. But it just really dawned on me that, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about the typing pool disappearing and then the fax machine disappearing, but not completely, Marno, because I've still got one.
Yeah, a lot of people still have it. I think that's the big argument that Jensen is making from NVIDIA. He's talking about everyone's, there's all this hype about AI, but very few people are considering the infrastructure requirements. And even then, Elon Musk talked about the same thing with TerraLab or TerraFab, where we're running out of space. We're running out of, well, not space, but we're running out of energy, and we're running out of infrastructure. And we just have to get that. There's so many constraints that are going to start lining up. Like we need chips, we need the energy to make the chips, we need the water to produce the energy to make the chips, and then we need the chips to create the infrastructure that we can run the AI on. Like there's so much that's going to, hopefully not, but all at the same time just blow up in our faces.
Yeah.
The future is going to be, for me, I'm optimistic about it.
I am, and it's creating a brand new geopolitical situation worldwide, isn't it? And when I say that, I don't mean religion or politics. I mean supply chain geopolitics. Who's got what where are we going to do it? Are we going to, are we going to do it?
I saw an article saying that apparently, supposedly, allegedly, China's trying to send some chemical shipment through to Iran, which would help them make their rocket fuels and other things. And it's like going through the same place where the US sub sunk an Iranian ship, and it's like, well, what's going to happen here? Because if like China doesn't sort of help Iran, they're going to get their oil cut off. But if the US stops China, then China's going to cut off rare minerals and rare earth materials that the US need for their targeting systems and their missiles. Like there's this whole like stalemate deadlock happening with who's got which resources and who needs them, and how this one little strait in the Middle East is completely jamming up global supply chains. And over the last 50 years, a lot of economies have de-sovereigntized their supply chains, and they've outsourced everything but under free trade agreements and moved it out, and we don't own anything locally anymore. But when it comes back to the topic of AI and data, NVIDIA is clearly in that space. And so props to Jensen Huang from NVIDIA. Yes, he's sort of proclaiming the great OpenClaw, NemoClaw thing as the new operating system for AI because it's got I/O and blah, blah, blah. But he also has a very clear commercial reason to pitch this, because NVIDIA will sell the hardware to run your own local models, so that way you can keep all the AI in-house behind your firewall, keep your secrets protected. And so if people buy into this Claw thing where they're going to need a lot of tokens, then they're going to need cheaper tokens than they want to buy from Anthropic. They'll want to run their own models, so they need to buy the hardware from NVIDIA.
Yeah.
NVIDIA wins.
That's a perfect little cycle.
It's interesting. I know you're going to say something, Matt, so I'll shut up. But in the networking game, when networking took, yes, Matt, I've just put you in it, so think of something to say while I'm talking. But what I'm saying is that in the networking game, everyone wasn't sure what protocol to go for, what connection to go for. IBM tried to lock in token ring. Xerox brought Ethernet. There was IP networking. What I learned from those days right through to now, anyone who tries to create a proprietary environment loses. So whether it's Anthropic or it's OpenAI or NVIDIA, if they try and lock it in and say, well, you have to do that with that, and I think even more with AI, that's not going to happen. And so rather than do that, we're looking at to the people like yourselves. If you can think it, how are we going to build it? And if we build it one way and we have to change platforms, AI makes it's not that hard. Okay,
I mean, that's why OpenClaw took off, because it was open source. And this is the future of software, not necessarily being able to build something and sell it. Not everyone wants to build a full SaaS platform and manage those customers. But can you build the ideas? Can you get the ideas out there to grow and expand? And if you want, do you monetize that with services and advisory and consultation to help people get up and running?
My friend Ben Horowitz said, he wrote that book, Software is Eating the World, with inputs from Mark Andreessen. I think it was a bestseller worldwide. And my entrepreneur mate, who I caught up with last week, he said, no longer is software eating the world, AI is eating software. And I thought that was a very unique comment. That is, again, back to these tools. If you can imagine, you can build it. You don't have to pay a fortune for it.
You saw in my briefing that it uses linear and goes and like logs issues and basically builds a task list using linear. Matt, you use linear, but you never log into the linear web interface, right? It's all done via your agent.
I'm part of a specific workspace that I built for one client, and that actually hilariously is a CRM and complete software suite that I've built for them. But yeah, in there, I've got just this infinite list of issues because I've got agents that will take my ranting and feedback, take all of the tickets that I receive from that team, and then turn those into things and then structure them and schedule them for the next releases. And that's just for one client. So then like I've got my own linear workspace as well with all my project separation for my own personal stuff, professional stuff, leads, potential proposals coming up and that sort of thing. And it's literally all triggered by my local agents that I run.
That is so cool. That is exactly where we're headed. And it is connecting the ideas people like you guys to actual business output much quicker and much faster. And that's where we all want to be. I think that's just so cool.
Yeah. So I'm building. I think I've mentioned my other SaaS that I've got in beta at the moment, chartreporter.com, for people that are doing forex trading using MetaTrader. Yeah. They can journal and analyze their trades on there. And some people are going to just want to click in and use my interface and do that. Others might want to use their agents. And so one of the things that I haven't finalized in the beta yet is MCP. Now, think what you will of MCP. It is a standard to allow agents to talk to their data. And, that's an avenue that I think some people will prefer to use. They'll just want their agents to go review their journal and their trades. They don't want to go look at the data and then they want the data accessible. Yeah. And so what my tool is doing for them is taking the data out of this restricted black box of MetaTrader and putting it in a super-based database and then giving them access for their agents to go and talk to it. And it comes down to the reason I could build any of that and make any of it make sense is A, I'm in the frame, but that particular product, I've spent over a year in the Forex trading space, using MetaTrader, seeing the limitations, understanding that space. And so that, just to close us out as we top the hour, that expert in the loop thing becomes really, really critical. If you just see AI as a generic tool that's going to do things for you and it's a magic black box that you just expect the world from, increasingly the magic fairy dust is worn off. And oh, good, it can write an email that sounds like Benjamin Franklin wrote it. Excellent. That's not that interesting anymore because who cares? I don't need Lin-Manuel Miranda's version of my my idea written in the style of Hamilton anymore. But taking your own creative inputs and your own knowledge and domain expertise and using the AI to solve problems and develop that. But the guy who got his dog cured from cancer because he had ideas, he asked questions, he worked with the right researchers to then progress those things on and made an mRNA custom genome sequence that fixed his dog's cancer.
Wow.
It's applying your knowledge and your expertise. And so to close out, I just posted this on LinkedIn overnight. But my big win was someone came to me and they had a voice recorder, just one of those little Philips manual dinky voice recorder things for recording meetings with a corrupted file. They're like, we've got this recording, but it's not there. The file doesn't work. And I plugged it in, had a look and went, that's because it's 0 bytes big. The file is not there. There's no timestamp on it. There's clearly an issue where the recorder didn't save the file properly and it's gone. And they're like, oh, it's gone. So just leave it with me. And so my first instinct, because I'm old, was Google. I'll go to Google and look for a file recovery software. That's what I'm going to do. There must be a tool out there to do it. But before I did that, I was like, hang on, I have Claude Code. And now it's all running on my Windows environment and it's all set up with all the Linux things that I talked about and it's all ready to go. So I just said to Claude Code, first of all, I copied the 0 byte file across and said, can you do anything? It's like, this is a 0 byte file. There's nothing to fix. What are you talking about? I was like, okay, well, that's from this USB recorder. It's plugged in right now. Go take a look. And it had a look and it then helped me build an image file of that recorder. So that way we weren't touching the original data. We were just pulling a disk image of it. And then it knew that, and I was like, I've got this Linux thing. Is that better than using PowerShell? It's like, oh, actually, that's much better. We can do things in there. So then it went and found the right tools that could analyze the underlying disk partitions. And it found the hexadecimal fragments of file data. And when I found a file that is not in the file system, let me check. Yep, this is a 96 meg file, but it's a WAV file. It's a recording. Let me recover it. And it recovered it and put a recovered WAV file on my hard disk. And I showed the client, they're like, that's exactly it. How did you do that? That's amazing. And this took under an hour. Now, my dad used to do the hard disk recovery from crashed hard disks in the 90s. Take him days. days staring at sort of these ASCII screens of hexadecimal codes and bytes and bits and trying to map the data and recover certain files. Claude did this for me as a background task while I was multitasking and building my other projects in less than an hour. Like, it's just crazy. But on that experts in the loop thing, I knew that sort of stuff was possible because I knew my dad had done back-end partition file disk recovery. I knew that these recorders, when they're recording, they're writing the data onto their little storage, but there was just some issue at the end where it didn't wrap it up and top and tail it and register it. But the data was there. The thing was recording. So I thought there's a chance the information's there. We just have to find it. And sure enough, Claude Code was able to do it. So it comes down to, knowing the right questions to ask.
It's all about that. As I always say, it's all about the question. And it's at this stage, I'd like to promote David's book, Haiku, Personal Responsibility, available on Amazon. Sorry.
Very good. Yeah, so anyway, that was probably my biggest win. I mean, like, aside from all the other things, I'm loving being in the Claude ecosystem now. I can't see me going back. Anti-gravity is dead to me. And between the things that Cowork's doing now with those scheduled tasks and actions, what Claude Code's able to do, it's just crazy. Just crazy what's going on. And you just got to ask questions and experiment. And that's all why we're here and talking about our stories. I'm not a hype bro like Claude Code can do anything. It can do anything if you ask and know the right question. I'm happy because
you're not telling us you've really achieved some sort of sponsorship from Lanthropic or what?
No, I wish.
Because like for anyone who listened to Dave's amazing story there, which for starters, like massive pat on the back, like that's huge. You can cut the word Claude Code there and insert any particular coding agent.
Sure, Codex or something might have been able to do it. Like
it's not a might. It comes down to if you can ask the right questions again.
But here's the trick. It's like people don't know they've got a spanner and we know how to use the spanner. So if anyone out there is confused, give us a call. All of us independently, it's fine. We want to help.
And the difference is though, Matt, like if people think they can just go to ChatGPT on the web and do it, that's not going to work. Like we're talking about, having the code, the local running execution tools like the Codex, like Gemini CLI or Claude Code, but you've actually got to go a level further down than just go into your web browser and going, hey, ChatGPT, help me recover this file.
Well, you'd start there and say, how do I do this? And then it would say, well, you probably need to run the Codex CLI and go from there. But yeah, it's a crazy, crazy position to be in, to just be able to do anything. Like you said before, Richard, if you can imagine it, you can do it.
Absolutely true. And I froze again. I do that.
Excellent. Well, on that note.
Stoic froze.
He's gone. All right, brilliant. Good to see you back to say goodbye. Thanks, guys. Good chat. Good luck with the tech this week and all the things, and keep experimenting, keep operating. It's awesome to hear different wins and stories around how you're personalizing stuff, and everything from actually personally talking to people, Matt, and the impact that's having, and just hearing those stories around where business owners are at, to what you're doing, Marno, with your whole custom dev AI agentic operating system thing. And Richard is good. Like, you're not as hands-on yet, but that gives us that great point of view on my next job is to help you get set up with Cowork.
Yeah, let's go, please.
Yeah. And I think once you start playing with it, you'll just ask your questions and you'll probably do stuff that I would never think
I'm
of.
a sub-representative of the ignorant business of Australia, so please help.
I'm excited to set you up and let you run loose on Cowork. Yeah, all right. Any last comments from anyone else?
Thank you. Have a good week.
Yeah, thanks to anyone who's listened, watched, whether it's live or recording. Like Richard keeps saying, you can reach out to us. Like, we each have our own places. We're not going to give you our mobile numbers, but if you need to get help, or if you ever get stuck, the worst we can say is no.
Links are in the description for our websites and where to find us. Or
we'll have an answer for you. If you ring us, we'll do it, or we'll point you in the right direction.
Drop a DM. A bit quiet on the chat today. No chat crowd interaction. Everyone's a bit shy today. But if you've ever got questions, jump on live, drop them in the chat. We'd love to interact with the crowd and see if we can help you in real time. But thanks, boys.
Thank you.
See you all on the next
one.
Catch you later.